Welcome to Huckleberry Bastion. Come down here to the shore today because I have a special project that I want to show everybody, get your thoughts and feedback, and well, I'm pretty excited about it, so let's get to it. So what is this project that I'm working on? Well, if the title of the video didn't give it away, I'm doing my own custom knife design. Now, I had recently done a review of a couple custom knives made here in Nova Scotia, and after talking with some of the knife makers via email, we thought maybe it would be a good idea if I come up with my own design. So that's what I've done. We're going to take a look at it. I'm going to tell you some of the features that I wanted to implement, and I'm not a knife designer by any means. I don't have any experience at all, so I just took what I liked from my other knives, just different features that they had, kind of combined them all in, then added my own thing and tried something a little different. First thing I did, of course, is what many people do. I just got a pencil and some paper, started doing up some sketch work. Just trying to figure out what I wanted to put in there in a basic shape. And I learned that I'm not very good at sketching, but I am pretty good at doing it on the computer. So I worked from this to come up with a model I could do and just put that together and tweak it from there. So while I was sketching, I wanted to add certain features and things, and I just found that in the end I was going to end up with a survival knife that just looks like everyone else's survival knives, and I didn't want that. I kind of wanted my own thing. So while I was going through, I came up with this kind of a full curve concept, and I'll show you that on some of the prototypes that I have. So what I want for a survival knife, really, for me, is a knife that can do a little bit of everything. It may not be the best at any one thing, but it can do a little bit of everything from fine work to heavy work. So with that in mind, I looked at some of my knives that I already have by other manufacturers, and I kind of just took bits and pieces from those and combined them into my own idea. So I wanted a drop point. I wanted a fairly large blade, so this is about 5.5 inch cutting edge. As I said, 11 inches overall. And I wanted gimping on the top, so you can get a grip when you're doing your fine work, choking up there. I want a flat spine. Even though this is curved, the spine would be flat, and it would have 90 degrees, so it would be sharp. You can use a fire steel. A lanyard hole and a striking part that extends beyond the handle here, so that you can use it for striking. And I also wanted the shape of the handle to be kind of rounded and have a bit of a pronounced butt back here, a little bit of a bubble butt, so that when you grip back here and you have your lanyard on, you can use it for chopping. What I wanted was this kind of curvature. So you can see it goes right from the point right back to the butt here, and the center line is from this point right through to here. And I just thought that that was kind of nice, and it made it look like kind of like a kitchen knife or a knife for butchering. And I don't really mind that, because I watched a video by Dave Canterbury where he was looking at some of the knives that early explorers and pioneers and things would have used, and mostly apparently they were carrying just knives that you'd use for butchering meat and things. So I don't think that that's going to be a bad design philosophy to go off of. I also wanted to have a finger groove, but initially my finger groove was where you would normally find it, just after the blade there and before the tang. But I thought it'd be interesting if we integrated the groove, which some people sometimes call a finger choil or a choil, but apparently that's not completely technically correct, so I'm just going to call it a finger groove. What I did was I wanted to integrate that right into the handle, so that when you're gripping it, it's right there. So your choking up is already immediately accessible to you, and it gives it kind of a really an aesthetic beauty. So you don't have your finger groove out here. It's kind of all in there, like so. And I wanted that curve And I was thinking, when you want to do chopping and things, some of the knives like cookeries and things like that have kind of a curved blade. So I thought maybe if we put the curve in the entirety of the knife and not just the blade, it might give us some kind of mechanical advantage other than just, you know, looking nice. And also it gives us this kind of downwards handle, right? So I was thinking that that might also give you a mechanical advantage when you grip the knife and you're working like this, because now you're pulling up, so you get a bit of leverage on it. And we'll see how that works. After I made this prototype, I found that I made it a bit too long. It's just the handle's too long for me. I mean, it's sticking way out there. So the first thing I decided to do was shorten the handle. And then I found that the jimping was a bit too far back, so we pushed that forward and we came up with this. Now, a friend of mine cut this for me, James at Wood Geek. I'm going to include a link to either his Facebook or his Instagram below, so you can go check out his work. And what he has is a laser. So we laser cut this out of some material just so we could test it out and see how it fit in the hand and things like that. The laser couldn't quite cut. I think I only had it like 3 millimeters by 3 millimeters or something like that. But the laser couldn't cut that fine, so it burned it out. That's why it looks a bit crazy right there. That's not part of the design, it's just the laser itself. We shortened the handle, as you can see, compared. The handle shorter. I also made the this part here on the handle more pronounced, and you can see now that the striking pommel is sticking out. And I don't think there were many more changes other than that. So the latest one is this version here, which I think is like 1.5 or so. And the changes that I've made are just a combination of all the others. So I changed the depth in the spacing of the jimping up here, which I think I'm happy with right now. May make it a little more shallow, and on the production model, like when we decide to put this and make it into a real knife, probably round these out a bit so they're not as sharp in this area while having the rest of the spine sharp. I changed the profile of the handle, the scales on the handle, to this kind of a bird shape so that it comes down and helps support your finger here in the finger groove a bit more, and it looks pretty cool. It looks like the eye of a bird, so I like that a lot. I also changed on the butt. Never happy with the butt, sorry. I made it a bit more smooth so that, you know, it's a bit more aesthetically pleasing, and it's actually a little bit more ergonomic, I think. And I changed the shaping of the extension here, the striking pommel, so we curved that in just like that. Again, it just takes some of the hard edges out. We still have this hard edge in here. I don't know if I'm going to remove that or just leave it the way it is. So I think another good thing about this design with the curve is that if we do baton with it, and sometimes you get stuck if you're trying to be a little too ambitious, you get stuck, and I think with this curve you'll be able to wiggle it out or at least reposition it so that you can continue batoning. And I'm hoping also that that gives some leverage too when you're using your wrist to cut through trees and things like that. That's the hope. We'll see how it works on an actual knife. Some other things I might make changes to. The lanyard hole, I started out at about 10 millimeters, but I think I'm going to bring it down to maybe 6. I think it might be 9 right now. I might bring it down to 6, and we'll see how that works with the paracord, because I just intend to use paracord for a lanyard. And I don't know, the 10 millimeters just seems a bit too big. Well, that's a look at my knife design so far. Probably going to make a few changes and then send it off, see what the actual knife makers think, and go from there. and then hopefully one day we'll have an actual knife based on my design. We can take it out into the woods, put it to the test, and see what I've done right, see what I've done wrong, learn from that. But it's going to be pretty amazing. It's going to feel pretty good to have a knife that I can use that I designed myself. Till then, see you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Man, what do you make this thing out of? It smells like donkey ass. And I would know.